Hello, this is Todd Luck, and in 1976, Mahar's of Pellucidar was released, written by John Eric Holmes. He worked on a sequel novel called The Red Axe of Pellucidar. Unfortunately, the sales of the original novel weren't as much as one would hope, and so the new management at Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated canceled that sequel novel, and it was never officially released. But no one axes the Red Axe of Pellucidar. And so Red Axe chops again in the first official printing of Red Axe of Pellucidar from Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated. And thus Red Axe has gone from being canceled to canon. This is a review of Red Axe of Pellucidar by John Eric Holmes. But wait, there's more, because this is not just an entree, kids. This is a combo meal. So you're not just getting the novel, you're getting a bonus novelette, Jason Gridley, Across the Moons of Mars, written by Gary Gravel, who did the fantastic John Carter Gods of Mars novel. And judging from this novel and this novelette, I would guess that Gary Gravel has probably never written anything short in his life, because it is a 76-page novelette. So yes, in this one book, you are getting a novel and a half. And so we'll be reviewing both of these stories in this video. So this novel is available in just about every format you can think of. Softcover, hardcover, collector's edition, Kindle. There probably is an audiobook coming. And if you order it from Edgar Rice Burroughs' online shop on their website, you can get a trading card that'll come with it. It comes with a Jason Gridley of Earth trading card. And there was a trading card that was included in Mahar's of Pellucidar that I forgot to mention in my review. Is of course of the Mahars. And so you can get that if you order the other book from EdgarRiceBurroughs.com. Looking at the cover, it is absolutely gorgeous. I love the colors. I love the rendering. I love the monster here. I love the action. That's something about this cover and the previous novel really have fantastic action covers. This is something we haven't seen on the recent Edgar Rice Burroughs universe novels. They've been kind of poser covers establishing what the character looks like. This is Red Axe going medieval on some monsters with his axe, and I love it. This reminds me of how I used to pick out Conan issues from the back issues. You know, I would look through the comics and like pick out the coolest looking cover, you know, with him fighting some cool looking monster. And so something like this really does, you know, get your attention and really does make you, you know, curious about what's inside. So the interior has this frontispiece by Christopher West Holmes, who is John Eric Holmes' son. And his son also writes a foreword, which is very informative about, you know, how this novel came about and kind of the story behind it. All right, so quick recap on the first novel. It's about a dude named Christopher West. He is in a lab when he sees this chick at the Earth's core about to be sacrificed. So he grabs a fire axe, teleports down, and saves her, becomes known as the Red Axe. And he gets captured by the Mahars, who are this malevolent race of pterodactyls who are intelligent and rule the Earth's core. They're enslaved in the Mahar's underground city, but they escape, and they have this kind of colorful band of allies. So you've got Red Axe, you've got his girlfriend who's really good at a bow and arrow, you've got Mullah the Monkey Man, you've got a rogue Mahar, and then you've got this pale dude named Elkar who's just never been outside. And yeah, Elkar is a little bit of a fifth wheel by the end of this novel. And so Red Axe of Pellucidar picks up right where the other novel left off, with Red Axe and his allies making their way home, and of course finding trouble on the way. And very early on, it manages to find a way to engage me with the characters. And believe it or not, Elkar is one of the most engaging characters in the early part of the novel, because he meets this chick who's part of this fishing tribe. And he doesn't know, you know, if she likes him or if it's a good idea. And then, of course, she is chosen to be sacrificed to this creature we see on the cover. And all of that works so well. All of a sudden, you know, Elkar goes from this fifth wheel to an actually interesting character I'm rooting for. You know, the romantic tension that I felt was missing from the last novel is absolutely here, and it makes it so interesting. And I'm just, you know, like, will he save her? How will he save her? And they even play up the fact that Elcar has never been outside in the, you know, outer world of Pellucidar, right? He doesn't know anything. And, you know, seeing his observations of this fishing tribe are just really amusing. You know, they have dogs as pets and he's never seen a dog, and he's like, why would anyone want such a vicious animal in their cave? You know, stuff like that. There's actually funny jokes in here. There's actually exciting fight scenes in the first half of the novel. There's a really intense scene with like finback monsters, and Red Axe, of course, has to fight this darn thing on the cover. But I definitely found the first half to be very engaging, you know, kind of brought together by that tension of how are they going to save Elcar's potential love interest there. And it does keep you guessing until, you know, until they succeed, right? And then they move on and do other things in the last half, you know, in that true Burroughs fashion. Burroughs would oftentimes do, you know, kind of two different stories almost in his novels. You know, you would have one lost civilization in the first half and another in the second. And they actually do meet a completely different tribe and have a different type of adventure in the last half. And it's also engaging. And so this is just a much more entertaining, much more engaging, much more exciting novel than Mahar's Pellucidar. And so I'm not going to say I found every chapter engaging. I do wish the subplot with Elcar had gone through the last half of the novel as well. But overall, I just found this to be a great improvement over Mahar's Pellucidar. And that's pretty natural, right? You know, writers tend to get better as they write, right? The more you write on a subject or with particular characters, the better you're going to get at it. And I certainly think this deserved to be published. I think it's a shame that it was canceled back in the day. And I certainly would have loved to have seen what he could have done with a third novel, which of course was never written because this one got canceled. All right, so now that we've talked about the main course at the Earth's core, let's talk about that generous side helping of Mars that you get in this book. And so it is Across the Moons of Mars with Jason Gridley of Earth, and that moniker is explained in the story. It's used well, though I think going forward that probably having him Jason Gridley of Earth is probably not needed. I think we just assume he's from Earth. Normally, I mean, I don't begin my videos with like, this is Todd Luck of Earth, but heck, maybe I should, I don't know. So Jason Gridley is a scientist who discovers this thing called the Gridley wave, which can do radio transmissions from anywhere in the universe, right? You can get transmissions from the Earth's core, from another planet, and so he has adventures, and most notably in Tarzan at the Earth's Core, where he was the co-star. And so Jason Gridley in the recent novels, for some very science fiction-y reasons, he is bouncing from planet to planet. He's being kind of teleported around the galaxy by this mysterious force. And so Jason Gridley has been appearing in all the different Edgar Rice Burroughs universe novels that have been coming out in recent years. And so we saw him appear on Mars, right? And the hint was that he might end up on the moons of Mars, which he does here. Now, you don't really have to have read this to understand this or vice versa, but believe me, when you read one, you're going to want to read the other because it's good. And so Jason Gridley is essentially a glorified ham radio operator who has adventures. But what Gary Grable does is at the beginning, he backs up a couple planets and gives you Jason's backstory. He tells you about his family. He tells you about the goddaughter that he's looking for, who also got lost in time and space. He helps you to understand who Jason Gridley is, so you'll identify with him and root for him. And so I'm not spoiling anything to tell you that, of course, Jason Gridley is going to end up on the moon that the Barsunians call Thuria, which John Carter visited in the Burroughs novel Swords of Mars. Now, I would recommend, if you have not read Swords of Mars, read this first because it is so much fun figuring out what that moon is like through Jason Gridley's eyes, right? He has no context, no idea what's going on, and it's just so much fun to see it unfold and learn what that society is like. And every time you think you have it figured out, there's another plot twist thrown in there, and it's just very well crafted, very well paced. And because it's across the moons of Mars, of course, Jason Gridley will end up on both of the moons of Barsoom. And so we've never actually been to the other one. And what Gary Grable comes up with is very clever, very in keeping with what we know of Barsoom and the world around it. And it's a very kind of science fiction setup. It's something that I sort of expect to see in a later science fiction story written after Burroughs' death, right? It's a very science fiction setup with Jason Gridley trying to use science to kind of solve the problem, but it also has a very Burroughs style twist in there. And so it really feels like, it honest to God feels like something that Burroughs probably would have written if he had kept going after 1950. Obviously, he passed away in 1950, but if he kept going, you know, most likely he would have been influenced by more modern trends in science fiction, and this is exactly the type of story that I would have expected him to write. The only real difference is that it uses humor a lot more than I've ever seen used in the Burroughs novels that I've read. Actually, there's more humor in here than in any of the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe novels that they've been putting out recently. And it works really well. I mean, first of all, the humor is actually funny. That helps. And it's used in a way that feels very natural, right? There's nothing exaggerated. There's nothing that's made silly to be humorous. It's just this natural, witty kind of humor that comes from the way Jason Gridley talks about things and reacts to things. And it works really, really well because most of us, right, life is very serious, but we still use humor to kind of cope with that. And they're just naturally funny things that happen. And it feels right in this novel. It just helps us engage with Jason Gridley. It helps humanize him. It helps us identify with the situations he's in. And it works really, really well when you combine that with how well this novelette builds its worlds, how well it handles the suspense. It's just a very great experience from beginning to end. And even though it's 76 pages, it never felt like it. It never felt long, and I am someone who does not read very easily. I have a hard time making it through very dense prose. I tend to read one chapter at a time. I am oftentimes grateful if a novel I'm reviewing is on the shorter side because I don't have as much to read. But I gotta tell you, I actually did not feel like this was long at all, and I actually wanted it to be longer. I really felt like we could have gotten more adventures with Jason Gridley on these moons. And so next time, I expect the novelette from Gary Grable to be even longer. I am looking forward to a 150-page novelette on Woola. I know it's coming. I think all of the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe novels that have been coming out in recent years have been great. But to me, the best example of what they've been trying to do is Gods of Mars and this novelette by Gary Grable. And I think, barring giving the ghost of Edgar Rice Burroughs a typewriter, this is probably the best example of how you can bring Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff into the modern era and present it to a modern audience. And so whether you're here for the red axe or the glorified ham radio operator, I think you're going to have a very good time with this book, and I do highly recommend it. And so this has been Todd Luck of Earth. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, see ya.